Hello everyone, and welcome back once more to the Shonen Showdown. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm hot for justice.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm Chibi Noob.
And I'm NV Jitters.
And for the anime yay or nay Shonen Showdown, we watched things this week. What happened last week? Naruto beat Black Clover, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and now we're moving on into other things. The last of the big three goes up today against a newcomer where we got Bleach versus the Seven Deadly Sins. So, who's seen these before?
I've only seen one episode of Seven Deadly Sins prior to this.
Okay, I was about to say, wrong, you've seen three, because we all definitely watched everything. Who would like to talk about what these things are about? I didn't watch anything this week. I'm kidding, I did. Hectic week, but I got, yeah. So we're all basically going into this pretty much blind, right?
Mostly,
Pretty much.
yes.
Kinda.
Okay. So, let's talk about the first one. Bleach. What is bleach? So, bleach is a liquid that you add to, your wash for clothes. Like, it's a stain remover, or like, what is it exactly? I don't know exactly what it does. But it's supposed to be good, and you're not supposed to drink it because it'll kill you. And also, this show is about people being dead and fighting other dead things, kind of. So a little Yu Yu Hakusho. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. So yeah, there's a person named Ichigo, and she lives in a town that is beset by aliens. She has pink hair, and she gets power. Okay, different Ichigo. This different redhead Ichigo lives in a town full of spirits. Well, I don't think it's specific to his town, but he sees spirits, right? Redhead Johnny Young Bosch sees spirits, and he beats up people he beats up some kids in the beginning, I guess, to show that he's tough, and then he goes home and he fights with his dad, who apparently likes to greet him with a fist to the face. Not in, like, a mean way, though. It's like he's trying to, like, make sure he's just always on guard kind of thing. He's a doctor, because I would trust this man with a medical license. And he has two sisters who I can only describe as Raven and Starfire, because I didn't remember their names. But essentially those personalities. Anywho, Ichigo sees spirits, and one day he sees a particularly big spirit chasing after a smaller spirit, and some girl in a black robe and with a sword comes and kills the giant evil spirit, and then everything goes back to normal. He's like, well, that was weird. And then he goes home, and that night he's just kind of like, man, weird stuff just keeps on happening. That was so weird today. Then the girl's in his room, and she's just kind of like ignoring him, but he's like, hey, what are you doing in my room? What the hell? And she's just ignoring him, and he, like, I forget if he punches or kicks her, but, like, basically just hits her in the back of the head. It's like, hey, get out of my room. She's like, what? You can see me? You're not supposed to be able to see me? Well, why wouldn't I be able to see you? I can see all kinds of things. And then she's like, I'm a spirit reaper, and I'm hunting an evil soul thing. By the way, you're paralyzed. Snap, and he is paralyzed. So then another giant monster is there that is attacking his sister, and she goes out to fight it. Ichigo follows, and he's somehow managing to overcome her magic spell through pure spiritual power and energy. And yeah, he breaks it, and she's impressed, and then he jumps out to fight the monster, but he can't because he's a human. And then the girl jumps in the way of him taking a fatal blow, taking a pretty much a mortal wound herself, and she's like, here, stab my sword into your heart, and you can take my power and fight this thing. And he's like, well, okay, I guess I'm going to die otherwise anyway. So, yeah, he stabs himself. They introduce themselves. His name is Ichigo. Her name is Rukia. He stabs himself, gets a uniform change and a sword, and he starts fighting the monster. And Rukia has to say, like, wow, he has so much power. I've never seen a sword that big in my entire life. And, penis joke. He beats the monster, chops it up a little bit and whatnot, and then he wakes up the next day. He's like, that was a weird night. That was a weird dream. Also, there was a car that crashed into my house, or was it a giant monster? Everyone else in the house believes it was a car crash or some kind. Goes to school. There's Rukia. Oh, now she's in his class. Shenanigans will surely ensue. But she's like, hey, I need you to do, you have all my power right now, and I can't go home because you have all my power right now, so you're going to have to do my job for me. You're going to have to be a spirit reaper. You're going to have to ferry nice souls to the beyond the grave kind of thing, the soul society, and you're going to exorcise evil souls called hollows. Actually, they might have had the lore dump in the first episode. We're in the second at this point. Anyway, he's like, I'm not going to do that, and she puts on a magic glove that punches his soul out of his body, which she then guides to a lovely little park where a tiny dead child is being chased down by a spider monster. And she's like, well, I guess if you don't want to do this, you're not going to save this kid, are you? But of course, we know Ichigo. He's a nice guy, and he kills the spider monster and then saves the kid and then, like, bonks him on the head to shoot him over to the afterlife. And he's like, well, I guess I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it on my terms, whatever that means. And then we meet another redhead. The redhead, I forget what her name is. And
Orihime?
she has a dead brother who is kind of like soul stalking her a little bit. And he gets turned into a hollow by a bunch of other evil hollows who I'm assuming are going to be like big bads who have evil plans. And he goes after his sister because, you know, he feels like, you know, you forgot about me and we were all that each other has, and then you got other friends and I don't want you to have friends anymore. I'm going to eat you, basically. And yeah, obviously Ichigo has to go and stop this fuckery. But yeah, he fights the brother. The brother gains a little bit of his humanity back, stops himself from killing everybody, and then he kills himself with Ichigo's sword so that he doesn't hurt anybody else. And then everyone wakes up none the wiser, because apparently they can Men in Black flashy thing everybody if they need to. Convenient. But yeah, so now Ichigo's a Soul Reaper, Spirit Reaper. I forget which version they were talking. I think it's Soul Reaper. Soul Reaper. And
Soul Reaper.
Yeah. And yeah, they're gonna do that. And obviously, they didn't say it, but we all know he's gonna have a test next episode. We all know. So that's Bleach. What did we think of the plot? I always lead off with this. I thought the plot was all right. I thought that they established the main characters pretty quickly, pretty good. The fights weren't the most interesting thing I've seen, but I feel like there's potential for them to get pretty good, especially like when you add the fact that they're fighting as ghosts, so you're probably gonna have a lot of flying around, going through walls. Like, it's pretty destructive and like, which is cool. Yeah, I think they establish everything pretty quick. Everyone seems all right. I'm really trying to think of like what to say. It's good. Decent plot. I give it a soft yay. I definitely feel like they have potential to do a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a soft yay. Gav?
I like the plot. I think that it was nice to kind of have Rukia kind of like explaining things to us. She was kind of like not a narrator, but like, you know how like we said like in other shows that certain characters were like the storytellers like themselves, kind of giving you the lore, telling you what like is going on. Rukia kind of did that for us in like the first like couple of episodes, and that was nice, like talking about like the hollows and the spirits and like the soul reaping and everything that happens, because otherwise I would have been like so confused. So I liked that, but it wasn't like too much, so it wasn't like annoying or anything. But yeah, overall I liked it. I'd give it a yay.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked the plot well enough. I thought it flowed pretty well. All made sense. It felt like it was building to something. Good, solid start. I'd give it a yay overall.
I'll give it a soft yay. It's one of those shows that, like, well, it's got a lot of elements that I like in it. I'm not, like, really blown away, and I don't know if it's just the fact that, like, I guess atmospherically I'm not, like, fully immersed into it yet. Because, I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm just, like, the plot's good. It's just the fact that I feel like I'm not, it doesn't feel intense enough yet. So, I guess it would probably need to take a few more episodes for that, though, considering we're just kind of starting out with Ichigo being a Soul Reaper and whatnot. But I see it as potential, so I'll give it like a soft yay.
Okay.
Yeah, overall I give the plot a yay. The first two episodes were kind of like the setup, of introducing us to Ichigo and then introducing us to the world and the background of it and that and stuff like that. And then the third episode was like the first real case or first real incident that Ichigo deals with. And as far as a standalone type episode, I thought it was pretty well done with the characters and the motivations behind them, especially with the brother and the sister. So yeah, overall I give it a yay.
All right, it's looking like an overall yay for Bleach so far with their plot and whatnot. But what is a plot without character? Gav, talk about character.
Okay. So I'll start with Ichigo, being he is the main character.
Is this the
He's
second show
pretty-
that we've watched with the main character's name is Ichigo?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See if we can get a trifecta at some point.
He's pretty cool. Like, at first I thought, like it's really interesting because he like stands up for, when you first meet him, he's standing up for the soul because he can see the souls. And he like got real angry that these like skateboarders knocked over this soul's, like, I guess, flowers that he like puts out for her in like respect of her like dying in that spot. And so I was like, oh, he seems like a pretty nice guy. And then he like is a pretty nice guy because he does want to save people that he has like no reason to save. Even though he like tells Rukia that's not the reason why he's like doing it or whatever. Or like it is the reason he's doing it because he wants to save people, but it's like, I don't know, it's real weird. Just watch it if you haven't. But I don't know. I think Ichigo's a pretty like good character, like, and he's doing it for himself, being like he's making his own decisions. Like he hasn't decided like that he's just gonna like become a Soul Reaper like Rukia wants him to. Like he's like, I'll save these people because I want to save them, but like I'm not doing it because you want me to do it, kind of thing. Which I think is respectable. Rukia is an interesting character. I think, like, I don't really have a whole lot to say about her, because I guess we don't know a whole lot about her besides for that she's a Soul Reaper, or, you know, was before she gave Ichigo her, like, powers. I guess she still kind of is. But, yeah, I enjoyed her character, so I'll give her that. Orihime, which is the redheaded girl. At first I thought she was kind of annoying, but then I was like, as we learn more about her and her brother Sora, I was like, oh, okay, like, she's not so bad. She's just a peppy kind of like girl just living on her own, trying to like survive with her, you know, without her brother. And I don't know, she's alright. And I guess the other character we're introduced to and never again is the Hollow, which I thought was interesting. I wasn't sure how I felt about like the brother being all, like, creepy, like, watching over his sister and getting jealous of his sister and, like, her friend that she was hanging out with. Like, just let your sister be happy, dude. But he's not a main character, so what's it really matter? um but out of the three main characters that we meet, like, they're pretty good, I'd say, so I'd give them yays.
Yeah, I thought the characters were pretty solid overall. I liked Ichigo as a protagonist, for similar reasons that you said. I like his relationship with Rukia so far. I think they have good chemistry, like they have a good back and forth. So I like watching them interact in particular. And Rukia herself is pretty interesting, though we don't know that much yet. But once again, their relationship interests me, and I'd like to see how it goes. Another strong point for me was Ichigo's family. I actually enjoyed them. They each had their own personalities and felt like, I don't know, a family unit, which I don't see that much of in anime. So it was kind of interesting to see like someone's, I think it's his actual biological family, actually being present and seeming like people. So I appreciated that. In terms of the Hollow, I thought he was pretty good with his relationship with the sister overall. Like, it made for a good conflict. I think he was pretty much just there for the plot mostly. But, is her name Urahime, the redhead?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked her well enough. You know, she was okay so far. I kind of agree with Gav that she might have come off as a little annoying at first, but I think after seeing a little bit more, she wasn't bad. I think I'd have to see a lot more of her to really form a real opinion, so I was kind of neutral to her. But overall, I would say it's a yay for characters. They were all pretty good.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to go soft yay on the characters. Like, I like them well enough, for reasons that you guys all mentioned, before. And I know there's, like, room to grow, and we're gonna see them develop, and there's gonna be a lot more going on with them, obviously, as the story progresses. But I didn't really, like, fully get attached to them, like, right away, and I don't know, like, what that is. Like, usually I'll find myself, like, either really liking characters or being, like, very meh about characters, and I'm somewhere in between. Like, I don't really have, like, a lot to say about them yet, because I feel like I need to get to know them a little bit more, and I'm not really sure that I felt like I fully, like, sort of, like, have a grasp on their character yet. So yeah, soft yay, I think, for these guys.
So the thing with me is that I did like Ichigo. I did, start to warm up to him the more it went on. Although I just find it weird how we saw it twice last week. We saw it with Yu Yu Hakusho. We saw it with Blue Exorcist, and we kind of sort of saw it a little bit with One Piece, where the protagonists tend to be kind of jerky or kind of angsty against the world kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like definitely with Yu Yu Hakusho and Black Clover and Naruto, the where and Blue Exorcist were like the protagonist is always, oh, I'm against the world, but I still have a heart of gold, stuff like that. I don't know. I've been noticing that recently with a lot of old school shonen and shonen that were inspired by it. As far as Rukia, I actually liked her a lot. I liked her dynamic she had with Ichigo. I thought they played off each other well, and I thought their motivations were, pretty well intended for how both of them are and both of their responsibilities into the world. And then I liked the brother-sister dynamic of the third episode, even if it was kind of messed up in its own way because of what happened. But I like the fact that it was revealed that, it was basically the brother raising the sister, and, a big misunderstanding caused them to drift apart. But they had a final, heartfelt moment before he disappeared. So I liked that. So overall with the characters, even if they are a bit cliched in some ways, I'd still give it a yay.
Yeah, I don't want to parrot a whole lot of stuff here, but I think I'm a yay here too. Ichigo was cool. Rukia I enjoyed. I especially like them both together. They have a good hot cold dynamic, and they got a decent amount of banter back and forth, which is always helpful for me. I always enjoy that kind of thing. Yeah, I thought the dad was funny. I thought the kids play off of him well. I thought everyone like worked very well in their roles and everything, and it felt they all felt kind of rounded, even if we haven't seen how rounded they are yet. I guess is the best way I could describe it. So, yeah, I think I'm a yay on that one, which sounds like an overall yay for characters. Yin, I believe. Why don't you take us into world building, because they got to inhabit something.
World building. Yeah, I liked the world building overall. I think they did a good job of laying out how things work for the most part, but there's still some mystery to it. Like, I don't feel like I know everything, but I feel like I know enough that I'm not confused. And I think it's a fairly interesting world that they live in. I mean, the guy can see spirits. It's not exactly the most original thing ever, but I think it's done pretty well. And I found the hollows and what were the other ones called? They were
holes?
Hollows and holes, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think because like if you're a whole spirit versus an empty spirit.
Okay,
kind of,
yeah.
hollow.
I found that sort of thing interesting rather than just them being lost souls and good souls or something like that. It's like I did find it interesting how they made that work and how it seems like, I guess maybe the hollows make other hollows from newer souls, which I don't know. I'm interested to see more of how that works because that seemed a little bit different to me. But overall, yeah, to me it's not the most mind-blowing or new sort of thing, but I thought it was done pretty well for what it is. So I would give it a soft yay in terms of world building.
I'm also gonna go soft yay on this. Again, for a lot of the reasons that Yin already stated. I just feel like it was interesting to see that with Rukia giving trying to transfer some of her power over to Ichigo so he could fight. He took pretty much most of it, which is something that we still need to figure out. So that's an interesting little tidbit that will probably be explained once we get further into some world building explanations. Also, I know the sword's called a Zanbakuto. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it's called. Okay. So his looks a lot different than most. So that's another thing that will probably get explained. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's gonna be another thing that'll go into world building because obviously Ichigo's different. Big surprise. He's the protag.
So big.
But yeah, I feel like I'm not really confused right now. I feel like the world needs to be a little bit, I don't know, it feels, I guess, a bit mundane in comparison to what it could be, but again, I guess that's more because it's grounded in reality, and not so much very urban fantasy. I feel like I'm more watching something that's sort of urban fantasy but kind of feels a bit more realistic. I don't know. But yeah, soft yay.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna give the world building kind of a meh rating because I wasn't confused or anything like that. I understood what was going on, but I felt like the world building kind of took a back seat to, the main to Rukia explaining everything. Which that is technically world building, but it's more of her explaining everything to Ichigo and ergo the audience rather than the actual world building being a standout as well. And obviously it's the human world. It's I don't know well into the show whether or not they go to another spirit world or anything like that, or if the whole series stays on Earth. But for right now, I kind of feel like the whole world building is Ruki explaining everything to the audience, which is fine. I mean, you could do that, but I don't think it's the most groundbreaking approach either. So that's why I give the world building kind of a meh. But I still am interested in a Soul Reaper and the different powers that can come with that.
I think I'm kind of along the same lines as you are there. Um, yeah, because I feel like they do explain some stuff, but there's a lot of other things that they don't really explain. Like they do tell you what like the job of the Soul Reaper is, which is good. And I don't have a problem really with Rukia giving us the play-by-play of like what's going on. Well, not play-by-play, but like you know what I mean. It wasn't like handled badly, but I'm still questioning certain things that I feel like should be like at the very least I would think Ichigo would like ask about early on. What is this sword and where did it come from? What are those spells you used on me? Like, how do I do that? What is the significance? What other powers do I have? Because he's clearly in this now. He should know what he's capable of doing. And I don't think, like, and maybe that's a character thing, like, he just didn't ask. But I also feel like she should be telling him a little bit more about what's going on, which is difficult because I know we don't want to lore dump, because that's a little on the lazier side. But I don't know. Yeah, I give it a meh. I don't think it's done badly. I just think there's more that could have been done with it, I think. Gav?
So the only thing I wish there was like more of, I guess, is kind of like explanation into the whole like I guess other realm that Rukia came from, like the Soul Reaper like realm, kind of like stuff about that, and possibly about like she kind of explains stuff about like the afterlife and like how they're like about them passing on and stuff like that. But I could have done with a little bit of more world building, even though it's like, but I'm also like conflicted about it because it's only 3 episodes. And I feel like we're gonna get that world building with more episodes. I mean, at least from what I remember seeing, like, very few episodes of Bleach when I was, like, younger. I don't remember them being in the human world. So maybe that's just where I'm getting that from, but, I don't know. But I don't know, I still liked Rukia's explanation of things. I mean, there was some stuff that wasn't explained all that much, but, like, it wasn't bad. I don't know, it's very hard to articulate what I feel about world building versus, like, plot. Like, it's kind of hard for me to separate the two. But, I guess I'd give it, like a meh. I don't know.
Okay. Seems to be meh, maybe leaning a little bit yay, depending on a couple things, but yeah, so that's world building. Thought I had a segue there, but I don't. Art and animation. Chippy, you want to take us off?
Okay, so for art and animation, I gotta say I got really nothing to really say about it. It's early 2000s, so animation style's pretty much, where you would expect it to be at. It's animated by Studio Pierrot, just like Naruto from last week.
And Black Clover. And Yu Yu Hakusho.
And that, yes. So, like, the animation isn't bad. The fight sequences weren't bad either. I don't know, I guess I just wasn't really, like, blown away by anything. Aside from, like, stuff in the opening sequence, which I thought was done well in some places, and then it was a bit weird in other places, but we'll get to that when we talk about the openings and the ending. As far as, like, character design goes, I thought they were okay. Like, I will say I liked Ichigo and Rukia's character designs. I don't know what it was about Orihime, like her face, just for some reason her eyes were very off-putting to me at times when I was looking at the screen. I don't know, maybe I'm being a little harsh, but I felt like her eyes were too far apart at points, and it just looked really weird to me. I thought, like, the designs for the hollows were sort of cool. The design for the brother, I thought, was, like, sort of, like, the right amount of, like, creepy, to, you know, like, basically, like, sort of give off that kind of, like, scary sort of vibe. But, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say on it. I think I'm, like, a meh to soft yay on this, because, like, I'm not really, like, blown away or dazzled or anything. But, yeah. So, like a very light yay, I guess.
Alright.
Yeah, I'm kind of a slight yay. I mean, I don't think it was animated badly at all, and I think it was still good. But yeah, like what Chibi was saying, I wasn't, absolutely blown away by it either. I thought, the fight stuff was animated pretty well. Nothing, amazing. But yet again, it's the first couple fights. Obviously, the fights will probably get, better as the seasons go along. But yeah, for what was presented in the first episode, yeah, I give it a very soft yay.
I think I'm, again, going along the same lines as you and kind of a soft yay here. I think this is competently made, and it's, like, I think the overall, like, character design and everything, I think everybody works. I'm feeling a bit of same face going on. Not a lot, though, so I think that's good. I kind of agree with you, Chibi. Some of the eyes were a little weird. I know you're saying Orihime was a little set far apart. I think other people's were maybe a little too close. I don't know. There was just a little something a little bit off when some characters were, like, looking a certain way. But it's not, like, a huge thing that, like, takes me out of it. So, yeah, I think I'm a soft yay on this. I think, yeah, like, it definitely could have done more to impress, but at the same time, it's not, it's not hurting me in any way. It's appealing in a number of ways as well. So, yeah, soft yay. Gav?
I mean, I like the animation. I don't have, like, a whole lot to say about it. Just besides that, I thought, for its time, it's pretty good. And I like the character designs. I think Ichigo's is pretty cool. Like, I think he has a good design. Orihime's bangs kind of bothered me a bit because they were, like, a little short. But
She had bangs?
Yes.
yeah. She had, like, turf bangs. No, not quite turf bangs.
I don't think I know what that means. Explain it to me later.
Yeah, but she was, like, probably the least appealing out of the character designs I saw, but I still like the design, so I'd still give it a yay.
I'm actually gonna give it a meh. I kind of find the animation unappealing. Just aesthetically, I think it's not my style. I do think everybody looks a little weird for a lot of the same reasons that you guys mentioned. There's something weird about the eyes. And I think just, I don't know, the line work is kind of strange to me. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it looks kind of hard. I wasn't crazy about the character designs either. It was kind of just average. And what I really didn't like was whenever something dramatic happened, like something involving the spirits, it would go into this soft mode. Like there would be a strange soft lighting on everything.
Yeah.
Like a soft focus.
I couldn't stand it. It just reminds me of like shoujo romantic scenes, except it's for a dramatic fight scene, and I just don't understand what that was for.
Well, those are the shoujo romantic scenes of Shonen.
I guess so, but it just really like it ruined like every dramatic scene for me. I just did not like that soft focus thing going on. So I'm gonna give it like a meh to a soft nay.
I gotta disagree there. You have to have soft focus whenever the enormous snake comes out and the other guy pulls out his giant sword. And you know what? I'm going into a place that I shouldn't. Never mind. Anyway,
Extremely romantic.
was that everybody? Oh, it's about to get extremely romantic, especially when the giant snake is gonna get pierced by that huge sword.
All right, we're good.
I think you might need a different effect for that sort of scene.
I might be watching a different genre of anime. Yeah, so I think that was everybody, wasn't it? For art and animation?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems
so.
like
Yeah.
overall softish yay. Let's talk sound and dubbing. Envy, take us away.
I mean, you got the ever reliable Johnny Young Bosch being Johnny Young Bosch as Ichigo. I mean, I don't think he's, one of the most. I mean, he's not as active nowadays as anymore, but obviously back in like the early 2000s, late 90s, he was everywhere. And that's, probably for a good reason. He is a good voice actor, and he does do a good job as Ichigo. I don't know who did. I don't know who did. What was her name? The with an R. What was her name again?
Rukia?
Rukia.
Yeah, Rukia. I forget who did her voice.
Michelle Ruff.
Okay. That's. I knew it sounded familiar. Yeah, I thought she did a really good job with her voice, and overall, I thought the rest of the cast did a pretty admirable job. But obviously, since the first 3 episodes focused on those two, I think you need to have good voices, and to me, I think they did good voices. And as far as the music goes, I liked it. I wouldn't say I was enthralled by the music, but overall I didn't mind it, at least, for the main show. So yeah, overall I give a pretty good yay for the sound and dubbing.
Yeah, I think I'm also a yay on this. Johnny Young Bosch, again, solid performance. I think what is this, a hat trick for him? We had him as this, Giyu, and Yukio?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure, we're gonna have hat tricks from other people as well.
He's finally the main character now.
Yeah, working his way up.
We're definitely gonna have a hat trick for one of the voice actors for Black Clover.
We've had hat tricks for Chris Sabat already. So
No. Another one.
Come on, we have though. I know. There's another one, but we got to give points to him. Anyway, yeah, I think everyone did really well, and I think like they did good line reads as well, especially like just in so like dubbing is like very much about the interactions with every character. Like dialogue is always about interacting with characters. What am I talking about? But like it works very well because I feel like, however they translated whatever the lines were at, but like the actors got, I think, the tone just right for the scenes that they were in. Rukia and Ichigo work off of each other very well. Ichigo also works off of everybody else very well. Like, he works off his dad well, and his sisters, and Orihime, and everybody else. Like, I think the cast all meshes very well, and it elevates their character a little bit. And I think that's the best thing that you can say about a dub. So I think I'm a yay on this. Yeah.
I'm a yay on the voice acting and sound. I did like I think the voice actors did a good job. I liked the background music that played at like certain points. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you what like it sounded like because of course it's hard to like replicate background noises, but
Are you just gonna sing it a cappella?
I remember like watching it and being like, oh, that's a cool song that they're playing there. And yeah. So I'd give it a yay for dubbing and sound and all that.
I'm gonna give it a meh for dubbing. Nothing really stood out to me as being that great. I don't know. I felt like the character interactions were mostly good for me because of more of the writing than the actual voices. Sometimes, I don't know, I wasn't that crazy about Rukia's voice. I thought some of her line reads were actually kind of weird, like especially during dramatic scenes. I think she was kind of flat, and I get that that's sort of her character, but it's like she's throwing herself in front of a monster and she's like, no, don't. I don't know, I just didn't like it that much. But you know, it was okay. It was like serviceable. It was very competent. I definitely didn't think it was a bad dub. Like, it didn't make me cringe like some dubs. But I didn't think it was particularly great either, so I'd give it just a meh.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Ian here, actually. I'm also very much a meh on the sound and dubbing. Mostly because, one, I can't remember the score to save my life,
Yeah.
which tells you what I thought of it. And two, I don't know. It's just like, I get that Johnny Young Bosch, Michelle Ruff, and Stephanie Shea, who is the voice of Orihime, like, I know they're, like, big and they've done roles in a lot of other things. I don't know. I guess my whole thing is just the fact that, like, I guess because they're so prolific, I was expecting more from performances from big names, but I don't know. It's just a lot of what Ian said. Like, sometimes, like, the line reads and, like, the lines worked because of just how they were written, not because of how the characters were interacting with each other, because there were times when I was listening to Ichigo's voice and I was like, okay, yeah, this fits, like the voice itself, and then there were other times where I'm like, I don't really like this, how this is sounding right now. Same with Rukia, same with Orihime. I don't know, I'm just picky, as you guys can probably tell by now. But yeah, I'm very much a meh on this, unfortunately.
Okay, so 2 mehs and 3 yeahs. It's a softish yay then. Yeah. Let's take it on into the other kind of sound. The openings and endings. I think I'm leading this one off. So, I like the opening. I thought I enjoyed the song. I thought the visuals worked pretty well with it. I don't remember the ending as much, so I think I'm somewhere in a soft yay-ish. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I enjoyed the opening. It's catchy, and yeah, I guess that's about it. Gav?
Yeah, I like the opening a lot. I remember the asterisk is what it's called. I remember being very into it when I was, like, younger, too, and I heard it for the first time. I think I had it on, like, a playlist of mine. Or on LimeWire, maybe.
God, going way back.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my god. Stop.
Whoa!
Hurting me.
My gosh, I feel old.
But yeah, I was like, I remember downloading it on LimeWire to listen to it and putting it on my iPod. But yeah, I really like the opening a lot. I think the ending could have been better, because it's like the song they choose starts out in English and then it goes to Japanese, and the English part just sounds very, like, jarring to me. Like, it sounds, like, too soft and, like, emotional to be, like, a Bleach ending. And I get that, like, a lot of endings are, like, you know, more soft, like, compared to the, at least for shonens, or, like, softer compared to the openings. But, like, I was just kind of like, man, I don't really like this ending. But I like the opening, so I'd give it, like, a soft yay.
I feel terrible because everybody said they loved the opening and I don't even remember it.
Oh my
Like,
god,
I
thank
watched it, like,
you.
3 times.
Thank you. Ah.
Like, what even did it sound like? I don't really
I don't
remember.
remember.
Yeah, right? I don't even remember the visuals that
I don't
well.
fucking remember.
I go,
It was-
this
I thought it was
song?
chill, but it worked.
Was it chill? Was it
It's
not
your section. You can do
I don't remember. So
It was like the da 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 da.
okay.
No, don't.
We just
I
got
don't remember
demonetized.
that
Well done.
either.
I think like that rings a bell a little bit. But I don't know. It must have not stuck out to me that much because, man, I don't know. And the ending, I don't really remember that either. So I'm just gonna give it a meh because I can't say it was bad or good because I just don't remember.
Okay, so for me, you already know I don't remember the song for the opening, but I remember the visuals. And I was a little bit thrown off because some of it was like super, super colorful and like kind of just like, I don't know, like they used a lot of different sort of animation techniques in the opening, and I was just like, this is very strange. We're turning from one character to one character to one character to one character in the scene, and then we're just going back to like very bright colors and white and just like, I don't know. I was like, there is no consistent theme here. I was just like, I don't understand what I'm watching. I'm like, are they just trying to show off right now? Because there were two specific things that I thought looked really, really nice, and then the rest of it, I was just kind of like, eh. I feel like this could have worked in a slice of life anime, with just how it looked. Because there's the one scene where it's just like Ichigo's just standing there. And I don't know, for some reason it just looked really cool. And then there was that one scene where they're going from Ichigo to another character, to Rukia, to like another character. And I thought that was really nice. But again, I don't remember the song. The ending, however, I remember both like the visuals and the song for that. And while I will say, yeah, it is a little jarring to go from English to Japanese in the middle of a song, like, I kind of felt like it worked a little bit, because that's just a thing that they did, like, quite often in songs, and something they still do in songs is they'll put some of the lyrics in English, and then they'll put other lyrics in Japanese. And it honestly kind of reminded me, again, a little bit more of, like, an Inuyasha ending song, with those elements in it. And honestly, like, I sort of felt like the visuals at the end were kind of sort of nice, not spectacular or anything, because it was just mostly still images, but I like Rukia with the ribbon at the end, and then she just kind of, she's holding it and she lets it go. Like, I feel like that's just like probably very symbolic in a certain way. We just haven't gotten to that point yet in the season. So, I'm gonna give it a soft yay, because I at least remember everything about one of the pieces. But I don't really remember a whole lot about the other, or at least part of the other one.
So,
And
I don't know where this slang word came around. It's been around, like, the last year or so. Do you guys know what the slang mid means? Like, if something's mid?
No.
Middle of the road?
Yeah, it means kind of meh, right?
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not good, but it's not bad. It's like just somewhere in the middle. Like, there's really no solid opinion one way or the other.
Yeah, seems
Yeah.
that's
That's honest-
self-explanatory.
That's honestly how I feel about this opening in ED. Out of all the openings in EDs I've seen throughout my anime years, this was the most mid opening in ED I've ever seen. I completely forgot about them as soon as I watched them, and
Right?
I and it's a shame too, because like I'm not expecting, a high octane, opening like Dragon Ball or whatever, but like I was expecting something. I wasn't expecting the style and tone that I got for that opening, and yeah, I just don't really remember it. So if I can't really remember it, I hate to be that guy, but I might have to give it a slight nay.
Alright. Well, it's sounding like some mixed opinions here. We'll say it's somewhere in the meh region then?
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So, Yeah, a little mixed on the opening ending, but, how are we feeling about the overall show? Like, where are we on our final thoughts? Gav, take us off.
I mean, I enjoyed watching it. Like, uh, maybe, like, it could have been a little bit, like, more actiony. Um, uh, I mean, it was, but, like, it wasn't, like, the fights weren't, like, anything, like, super grand. But, like, overall, like, I enjoyed watching it, and I would keep watching more of it. So,
It was very okay. I mean, I wasn't thrilled by it. I liked it though. I didn't dislike it. But I don't know about watching a whole lot more. I know it has like, I don't know, 200, 300 episodes or something.
Something like that.
More than that.
So many.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it didn't thrill me enough to make me really want to continue that much. Because I think I've just seen similar things done better in other anime. I don't know. It was just very, it kind of meh. So I'd probably give it a meh in this category as well. Maybe leaning towards nay. But once again, I didn't dislike it for any reason, but I just think it was just super okay. So I guess I'd lean more towards a meh.
So, I'm also very much a meh on this. Like, I don't have bad things to really say about it. It's just the fact that I'm not really, like, dazzled by it, or, like, I don't really feel compelled to really keep going with it. Like, if I were to, like, continue it as a series, like, and watch it in sequential order, I feel like this is something that if I saw it on, and, like, if I had already seen some episodes of it, I'd probably, like, just watch and see, like, what's going on, not really caring that I probably don't understand what's going on. But if I were to, like, if I were to think of, like, yeah, watching this as a series, definitely not. So yeah, I definitely very much a meh on continuing it.
The way I see it, like, obviously, when it comes to any show, not just, a shonen show, one of the things that really determines whether or not I continue is obviously if I'm invested in the plot, but and also whether or not I like the characters and the interactions with the characters. That's just me personally, and to me, I honestly really enjoyed the character interactions between Ichigo I keep forgetting her name. It's been a long day.
Rukia.
Rukia. I liked Rukia a lot too. That's the problem. I just
It's like Yukio, but Rukia.
So
Going with
I
the
really
Johnny and
enjoyed.
Bosch connection.
So I really enjoyed them together, and I am invested in what it's like to be a Soul Reaper and stuff like that. And so I think that combined with the intrigue I have overall with the premise, I wouldn't mind continuing it for a few more episodes. So I give it a yay.
Yeah, I think I'm a soft yay here. I got enough that I feel like I'm enjoying myself. It's not one of those ones where I'm like, I have to watch this next episode right now. I felt that way a couple times this tournament. But yeah, this is definitely one of those ones, like, I think I'd look forward to seeing it in another round. But at the same time, I don't know that I'd entirely hate it if it wasn't. So, yeah, softish yay, maybe leaning a little meh, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a soft yay. Anyone else? Is that it?
Think so.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, where are we overall? As a softish yay, or because I know there were some people who were kind of like on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Soft yay overall for Bleach in this round. But then we have to talk about its competitor for this week, the 7 Deadly Sins. Okay, so the 7 Deadly Sins, as far as I'm aware, is about the 7 Deadly Sins, a group of, not mercenaries, I think they're like knights or something, but they're like outlaw
Yeah.
knights because they did something bad and now the world is against them, and then they went into hiding, and then we meet what looks like a child running a bar with a talking pig.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's just having a good old time, serving up his drinks, cooking terrible food, and then a knight of rust shows up at his doorstep and collapses, and everyone runs out because they're terrified that it's one of the 7 deadly sins. So there's wanted posters of like some quite frankly good-looking people up on a wanted board or something, including like the most feared of them all, Sir Meliodas, the hot-ass leader of the 7 deadly sins. And so maybe that's the Rust Titan, but no, it's just some girl who's inside the armor, and this little kid, man-child. He's an adult, I guess. Doesn't look like it, but he's an adult.
Like a hobbit.
Yes. So Bilbo Baggins finds this gray-haired young woman in a rusted-out suit of armor, and then starts groping her. And but it's played for laughs. And the pig is angry at him. But then she wakes up. She's totally cool with the whole thing. And she's like, I'm looking for the 7 deadly sins because, need to find them to do stuff. And, then some knights come looking for the Rust Knight. And they're like, hey, we got to find this because this is a bad person or whatever. And Bilbo Baggins is just kind of like, I don't know. I haven't really seen anything around here. This is kind of whatever. Hey, I have a pig in a suit of armor if you want to look at that. And What's-Her-Face goes running out the back door, gets chased down by the knights.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, Elizabeth. She gets chased down by the knights and then found by this really big knight, Sir Twiggle or whatever his name was. Sorry, that one stuck out to me. Anyway, he chops a cliff in half and she falls off. He's like, whoopsie. And yeah. Oh, Bilbo was there, I think, too. And he fell off the cliff and he jumps her back up the cliff, and the dude's like, oh, they're all casualties or whatever. He's like, but we were supposed to take them alive. Well, they're all casualties. Doesn't really matter to me. And then they hop back onto the cliff and he's like, hey, you're messing up my kill count. What the hell? And he tries to kill them. Doesn't do a very good job of it because, as it turns out, Bilbo Baggins is actually Meliodas, the not-so-hot-ass.
Stop calling him Bilbo.
Well, I'm gonna stop calling him now that we actually know his name.
He's
so
probably just a kind of short dude.
He's a short dude with a baby face who, if he didn't run a bar, would get carded his entire life. Yeah, so it turns out he is Meliodas, leader of the 7 deadly sins and the Dragon of Wrath. And he swipes with a non-existent sword and blows Sir Twiggles into the sky. It sounds like I'm talking about a dog. Sir Twiggles.
That'd be such a cute dog name.
Sir Twiggles. The Corky Knight.
Aww.
But no, he's a giant burly man with an attitude problem. Anywho, that's episode 1. They also get a giant pig out of the ground to carry their house on, and they start running around looking for other sins. Yeah, the pig mama is a giant pig and just sort of waddles off.
In CGI.
Oh yeah, and those knights who watch their captain get blown into the air, destroyed, and then a giant pig popped out of the ground and just started walking a house off somewhere. They're just like, well, you know what? I don't know what today is, but we're done with it. Also, there was some pig-haired dude. I forget something else with that cliffhanger.
I loved his aesthetic.
Gil Thunder.
Gil Thunder. Now there's
Great.
a name. He doesn't talk like that, but anywho.
No.
The pig takes them to a new town that's supposed to have some really good beer. But the problem is, all the water's dried up in the town because Gil Thunder stuck his sword in the ground because the town insulted him, and now all the water dried up because it's a Holy Knight sword, and he did magic stuff and caused, so they're now having a drought and they can't make any money. And also, they're like, pull the sword out and give it back to me, otherwise we're going to tax you 20 times as much as we have been. So needless to say, they're in bad shapes because only another Holy Knight can pull out another Holy Knight's sword. And there's something about a little kid that I didn't really care about, so I'm just gonna kind of skip that. I guess he threw a bug in Gil Thunder's drink, and yeah, that's why you got a sword stuck in the ground. But the town rallies to get it out, but they can't because magic. And then Meliodas just comes over, drinking a beer. He's like, here, hold my beer. He literally is just like, here, hold my beer, and pulls the sword right out of the ground. And they're like, how the hell did you do that? It's like, it's not so tough. It's whatever. Also, he grew up some people along the way. And then they leave. And then they go... Oh, wait, sorry. Gilthunder heard about this. Sorry, Gilthunder heard about this, and he charges a spear full of lightning and throws it, like, 40 miles away, and it's supposed to land right on the town, and it almost does, but the moment he throws it, Meliodas is like, I guess we got a missile incoming. No one knows how he knew this, but he knew it, and he's just kind of, like, looking at the sky. Where are you coming from? Oh, there you are, and he catches it and throws it back. And so, yeah, that was basically a game of Magic Hot Potato. Then they leave because they heard about a forest where even the Holy Knights are afraid to go in, and they're like, well, if I was a 7 deadly sin, which I am, I would go hide there. So they go looking in the big foggy forest full of imps who copy your looks. So there's a bunch of pigs running around. And they're all trying to be like, I'm the real pig, I'm the real pig, I'm the real pig. And no one can tell who the real pig is. But then they all start looking like Elizabeth. She's like, I'm the real Elizabeth, I'm the real Elizabeth, I'm the real Elizabeth. And Meliodas is in heaven at this point because he is established as a confirmed perv. But yeah, he figures out who the real one is and then cuts the rest of them down into little imp things. And then they find a giant. And the giant is in love with Meliodas because she's one of the 7 deadly sins. She's hot for captain. And gets very jealous of the fact that he is traveling with a young woman, and she just like kind of slams him into the ground and just punches him repeatedly, and he just kind of shrugs it off because that's all he does is just shrug shit off. Anywho, Gilthunder shows up in the forest, wraps them all in lightning, and then says, I'm gonna kill you all for killing my father. He's like, dude, I don't remember killing your father. I don't think I did that. It's like, I think you did do that, so I'm gonna kill you now. And so they get into a fight, and they're slashing with lightning and thunder and all sorts of stuff, and then like, Meliodas is defeated, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and then I'll kill all the other sins. It was like, what happened to the other sins? Well, one of them is in a prison somewhere, and the other one was slain and is buried here, and now I'm gonna send you off to them as well. He's like, oh, thanks for the information, dude. He just kind of hops up, because he's not actually hurt. And that's it. That's where we are. So, plot, who's up? I think it might actually be you.
It's me.
I think it's you.
I found the plot to be pretty okay. Not sure I have that much to say about it. I think everything was established pretty well. It seems like it's going somewhere. At least we have like an antagonist happening. Maybe it's going a little bit too fast. I don't know, but it feels like we're on a journey, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of all right to me so far. So I would give it a meh to a light yay on plot thus far.
Okie doke.
So I think for me, with the plot, like, I feel like we've kind of got sort of a plot already sort of established. The Holy Knights are basically said they did a military coup and have taken over the kingdom. The royal family is basically on house arrest. So Elizabeth's the only one who managed to get out, and she went to go find the 7 deadly sins. So that way, like, she can basically,
I forgot to mention all that.
Get the Holy Knights out of power, so that way they can get the kingdom back. So, like, I feel like that's a pretty straightforward plot. It's not anything, like, really, like, outstanding, because I'm sure there are, like, a lot of times, like, someone hires, like, a band of merry men to go and, like, defeat, like, people who've taken over a kingdom and get back the crown to give it to the rightful king. Like, I feel like that is a plot that I've already heard once. So it's not really like outstanding. But so far the plot is that Elizabeth and Meliodas and Hawk are all just going around and trying to find the other seven deadly sins. One of whom we've already met, in Deanne. So, and she is because Meliodas is his sin is wrath, and then Deanne's sin is I want
Envy?
to. Yes,
Envy,
that one.
yeah.
Which honestly, for how she interacted with seeing Meliodas with Elizabeth, makes a lot of sense. For her character. So I feel like the plot so far is going pretty okay. I could do without some other things that are going on right now. But so far it felt like episode 1 pretty good with establishing things and getting the ball rolling. Episode 2 kind of felt a little bit like a filler, but it was also more we need to introduce an actual sort of antagonist that has more ties to the characters than Mr. Twiggles that we met in the last one. And then the third episode is we need to, sort of get the ball rolling and get us start compiling our party, basically. So far I think it's going pretty okay. The pacing's pretty good. Yeah, I'd give it a yay for plot overall.
Yeah, overall, I thought the plot through and through was pretty entertaining. I wasn't bored at all the entire time. I was pretty entertained. There was moments that I definitely, cringed at, but there was also moments I laughed pretty hard at. Well, not hard, but I laughed at. And I kind of liked how they kind of set up that it's pretty much heavily implied, although I think it's probably true that the seven deadly sins were kind of framed for the king's death and the takeover of the kingdom. I think they're going to pretty much explain that they were framed, and because you're named after the seven deadly sins, so you obviously don't have a good namesake. But yeah, overall I was pretty entertained by the plot, and I was pretty entertained by the setup, and I would want to see where the story goes and what the other members of the seven deadly sins are like, because obviously we still need a few more. So I give it a yay.
Yeah, I think I give it a yay too. It gets the ball rolling pretty quick. Gives you, your bad guys, your good guys, your overall goal of what you need to be doing, and we have a general each episode seems to be giving that kind of they're wandering around a little bit, but they do have a purpose, and they are trying to figure out where to go a little bit. But when they get a destination, they seem to figure out quick that they're going there. So it doesn't feel meandering, which is nice. Yeah, it seemed focused, and they established everybody pretty quickly. So yeah, I give it a yay for a plot.
I think it was okay. It wasn't anything super enticing to me, but it wasn't too boring either. I don't know, I'm kind of a meh on the plot overall, really. Just for those reasons.
Okay. It's kind of looking like a softish yay overall, more or less. Okay. Let's talk character. Let's see here. Yin, you went first last, so that means Chibi, you're up. You want to talk characters?
Sure, why not? So, alright. So, we're gonna start off with, the first of the seven deadly sins that we meet, Meliodas, who is barkeep. He's a very tiny barkeep. So, honestly, yeah, when I saw him at first, I was like, what is this tiny child doing running a bar? But then it's made obvious very quickly that he is not as young as he says he is, considering the fact that it's been over 10 years since the flashback that we saw at the beginning of episode 1. And he still, I believe still looks the same as he probably did back then, even though his wanted poster makes him
Yeah.
look very different. Anyway, he's kind of a funny character, bit goofy, sorta. Like, he's got very good intuition, and he's got some funny points. I'm not a big fan of the fact that he's a perv. It made me very uncomfortable, because I'm just like, me watching the show was Hawk, like, yelling at him the entire time, like, stop it! Because I'm like, that is unsolicited, she did not give the okay for that, like, cut it out. But anyway, so, like, honestly, like, that's the one real negative I have about his character, is just that, and the thing is, like, it's played for laughs, and I really hate that. There are other weird things you could have him do and play it for laughs that would have been far more acceptable. I feel like in a piece of media, like, please don't do that. This kind of shit actually happens to women out in public, and it's not fun. It's not okay. Please don't make a joke out of it. Again, this is coming from a woman, like, reviewing this as a piece of media, and this is a critique, so take that for what you will. But yeah, so, again, my only real problem with him. Elizabeth she's basically like a princess who wants to save her kingdom, and, like, you know, I've got really not a whole lot to say about her, other than she seems okay. Like, she's not, like, spectacular or anything. Like, I've seen her character before in other places. Like, I don't know, I think she's fine. I got no real complaints. Hawk is funny. Hawk is hilarious. I love Hawk. And Hawk is voiced by Christina V, which makes it all the more better. But we'll get to that when we get to voice acting. And then we got Hawk's mom, who's the giant green pig that the bar sits atop of, who we don't really know much about as of yet, but, you know, more pigs. Then we got Sir Gilthunder, who is, like, one of the top knights of the Holy Knights, who apparently already knows Meliodas from, like, 10 years back, because Meliodas used to, like, teach him how to sword fight, I guess.
I assume.
Yeah, and he also knows Elizabeth, in that, like, he was, I don't want to say he was a page. He was like
he was I think he's the son of the former head of the Holy Knight, so he was just kind of like around the castle.
Yeah, and because he was like a steward to the king or something like that.
Probably.
Anyway, but so he was just like around. So him and like Elizabeth like know each other. So that just makes for some interesting sort of dynamics, because, like, these people do already know each other. So there's, like, some history there. And then you have Deanne, the giantess, who is, basically the Serpent Sin of Envy, who, again, as Al said, hot for captain. But I think she's kind of, like, she's funny-ish. I got no real complaints about her so far. I mean, yeah, so for characters, I'm gonna give, like, a softish yay. So, mostly just because, like, I feel like they would have been more of a yay had, like, some of the characters been a little more outstanding and Meliodas hadn't been such a perv, but, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you, Chibi. I mean, I'm obviously a guy, and even I was getting kind of creeped out and like, why are you doing this? Why are you a perv? And I know it's a common trope in anime to have a guy character be a perv and, you know, grab and and fangle and all that. And the sad thing is that I did like Meliodas a lot as a character. I thought he was funny. I thought, you know, the stuff that he said, like poking fun at everybody, was really was pretty funny. Like, I liked him a lot, and I wanted to love him. But yeah, like every time he just grabbed Elizabeth's breasts or butt for no reason, it's like, really? Again, I know it's made to be for laughs, but it's like, I don't find that shit funny. Um, for as far as the rest of the characters, I agree with you. I think Hawk was probably the best comic relief of the show. I thought he had the best lines. As far as the other characters are concerned, it's going to be hard for me to separate them from their voice actor, because I think their voice actor actress helps me like them a lot more. Because honestly, I think Elizabeth was kind of like, there was really nothing else to her. Like, if you took a shot every time she cried and said Meliodas, you'd be drunk. So yeah,
It wasn't as bad as Black Clover.
well, I mean,
That's a whole other thing.
true, but
Wizard King shot.
we don't want to die. Yeah. Overall, I give the rest of the characters kind of a. I mean, obviously, it's the introduction. You know, we're still getting used to them. So when I get into the voice acting, I'll probably give more praises. But as far as the characters themselves, I give it like a very soft yay.
I'm kind of in a meh area myself. I think Meliodas is kind of like what would happen if Kirito had a personality.
You ever see Sword Art Online on Bridge?
Yeah, that I'd like that one. And he definitely has a personality there, but I'm like talking like a personality that would actually work in an anime. So yeah, there's like times where he's fun, and there's also times where he's just kind of a creep. I will say he probably has some of the better lines in the show, but at the same time, I'm not seeing him really struggle or do anything, and it's just like, I feel like this, like, it doesn't even matter to him, and that's kind of where I'm getting the Kirito thing. Like, he's just automatically the best at everything, which is sometimes funny, and it's definitely plays up the comedy element, because there are certain points where I'm kind of like, oh, he's just kind of Saitama right now. Like, he's One Punch Manning a little bit. Which is fun, but it's kind of, it falls short a little bit because of the shortcomings. No pun intended, but I guess you could have a fun there. Hawk was fine. I didn't really remember a whole lot about Hawk, actually. I assumed they got pissed off a couple times. Elizabeth is some real milquetoast out the gate. God, she's got a backstory. I think that works, but like outside of that, I got nothing from her. I mean, honestly, the people that I'm probably most interested in are probably just what are going to be the names of these other knights that they're going to fight. Like, you cannot lead with Mr. Twiggles saying, whoopsie, and whoopsie, looks like I killed more people. And then you have Gil Thunder. I don't know, I'm always like, as a kid, I was always interested in the bad guys a lot more, I think, than I was the good guys, but like, I feel like you got some potential here for some of these villains. Like, oh, someone put a bug in my drink? I'm going to cause your entire town to have a drought just for that.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys stop the drought? Well, I'm just gonna nuke you. Like, there's some extremes going on here that, like, I don't know whether it's, like, I'm not sure if it's, like, supposed to be funny, because it kind of is funny, but you think about it, but, like, I think they're also supposed to be taking it seriously, and I'm like, I don't know, but I find it interesting. So, I think for the most part, yeah, some of the characters are kind of but then some of the characters are kind of and so I'll put it right in the middle there for a meh. Just making noises at this point. Who's next?
That would be me.
Yeah.
I'm honestly a meh with the characters. Like, Meliodas was okay besides for the fact that he was a giant perv. Because I don't really like that kind of thing either. Like, and then Elizabeth just annoyed the crap out of me. I'm sorry to anyone who likes her, but she was just like, so, I don't even know, like, just like so damsel in distress.
She was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like there to be a pretty character for Meliodas to like rope, and I was like, okay, alright, whatever. I think Deanne was, like, fine. She's probably the most interesting out of, like, the characters that we're gonna be, like, I assume, with for, like, watching a show like that. Like, I guess main cast is what I'm going with. I like Gil Thunder. He's a pretty boy.
Yes.
And I like how angry he is. I don't know. But I didn't really care for, like, any of the characters. None of them really, like, stood out to me, like, a whole lot. So that's why I'm just meh about them.
Yeah, I was a little bit split as well. I did like Meliodas. I mean, I can't say anything more about the perviness. It was kind of annoying, but otherwise, if you take that away, I did like his character. He kind of reminded me of Natsu from Fairy Tail, though. Like, even the way he was introduced as being, like, who he was as, like, a surprise at the end. Like, I don't know, he felt almost like, I don't know, like, if he wasn't as pervy, he would just be Natsu, I think. Maybe a little bit more confident or nonchalant or whatever, but Natsu kind of had that too. So, yeah, he was pretty good to me overall. Elizabeth, she was kind of like a non-character to me. She was just kind of there, kind of like Gab said, to be pretty or whatever. But she was alright, I guess. She didn't do anything too bad. I thought the funny characters were pretty funny, though. Like, Hawk, was good. Deanne, I think it was pretty good. I did like Sir, what is it, Gilfunder?
Gilthunder.
Yeah, I liked him. His aesthetic is great, like A+. He's like new cosplay material. But yeah, overall, I would say they're kind of a mess, since I really enjoyed some characters, but then I really was kind of neutral about others. So meh overall.
If you be Gil Thunder, Al has to be Sir Twiggum.
Yep.
Oh, I would love
Do
to be Sir
it!
Twiggle.
Let's do it. Gotta be Gil Thunder.
I'm gonna kill someone, just go whoopsie.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's seeming like an overall kind of a meh-ish, maybe leaning a little bit into yay-ish, but mostly a meh for characters. Let's talk world building. Who's up? Ended with you, started with Chibi.
I
Envy.
guess it's me. Yeah. I kind of like the world building in the show. Like like I mentioned earlier. Like, obviously the first 3 episodes didn't do. I mean, they did a little bit of exposition in the beginning. Explaining how the structure of the world works. But I think it works, and like I said, they introduce the show thinking that the 7 deadly sins are these branch group of the knights that went rogue and were mass murderers or something like that in the opening of the show. The opening scene of the show kind of makes you think that, but then as you see, you kind of maybe guess maybe that's not the whole truth. So I do like how they have kind of like the divide between the knights and how some are just power hungry and just want to take control of the kingdom, while there's probably some that maybe aren't less noble like the 7 deadly sins, but they're probably better people. And yeah, I mean, otherwise it was your pretty generic fantasy stuff, go to a small town, go to a castle, kind of stuff. And I think the world building that interests me the most was the dynamic between the knights, and then obviously figuring out the quote unquote 7 deadly sins and why, if they were the whole Knight Order was heavily based on religion, why would they make a branch of them based off the 7 deadly sins? But yeah, overall I give the world building a yay.
Okay, so my thoughts on that, why you would have a branch specifically the sins. I think there's 2 ways that happens. They were either called something else, and then they got branded the sins after the fact, or they're the Black Ops wet work people that no one likes to talk about. Like, everyone always has, like, the upstanding part of the army or whatever, but you always know there's the shadier part that gets the dangerous name that you don't talk about what they do in public, but you know they're there, kind of thing. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. That's just a theory of mine. So, world building for me. It was okay. I think I'm somewhere between a meh and a soft yay on it. Because I feel like we definitely established like the military coup and some stuff like that, and and some of this kind of goes into the plot a little bit, like with like the overall goal. I don't really know a whole lot about the kingdom or anything, or if there's multiple kingdoms going around. There's magic, though we're not entirely sure how that works. There's also stuff about like monsters and demons. It hasn't really been like really fleshed out at all. I think I'm kind of in a meh area here. I don't really feel like I know a whole lot about this place, but at the same time, I feel like I did learn some stuff. I think part of it was focused a little bit more on establishing the plot and characters of find the sins and all that, and wasn't really as interested in the world building, though they didn't completely throw it aside. So I'm in a meh area, I think. Yeah.
I'm a meh for the same reasons that you are, Al. Just because, like, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it besides that, like, I think they did fine, like, describing, like, the other stuff, like, kind of, like, the plots, and the characters, like, the Seven Deadly Sins versus the Knights and stuff like that. But, like, for world building, we don't know a whole lot about, like, the kingdom itself, besides for, like, about the coup. And, yeah, so there's not really much to, like, go off of, so it's just meh.
I'd give it maybe a soft yay, just because, like, I don't think with world building I always need to know, like, everything right off the bat. Like, I felt like the world felt coherent. It felt like a good backdrop for, like, their story. And I liked the atmosphere. I mean, I feel like it did better than some other of those kind of European-based fantasy-esque worlds that I've seen in other anime. I feel like this one did it better than I've seen in a couple other ones. So I think I am interested in the world enough. So I would say, even though I don't know a lot of the details yet, it still was pretty good in terms of establishing a world that made me engaged in learning more. So I would give it like a soft yay.
So I'm also somewhere between a meh and a soft yay. Mostly just, and I guess it's mostly just because, like, for some reason in anime, I find it really, really, like, hard to, like, really immerse myself in a world that is, like, very, you know, high fantasy. I don't know why. I think it might just be because, like, this isn't what I come to watch anime for. I don't come to watch anime here in a high fantasy world. But I don't know. Like, the thing is like, I feel the world, though, is very open, and that there's, like, a lot to explore, even though we haven't really seen a whole lot of it. I feel like they did enough, like, sort of building up the kingdom of Leonis and the Holy Knights, and then the Seven Deadly Sins, which, weighing in on, like, one of Al's theories here, I do think that they were the knights that were, like, the toughest knights, and they did all the dirty jobs. But anyway, like, I feel like there's just a lot that I feel like still needs to be covered. Like, we need some more world building for, like, why are the Holy Knights basically doing a military coup? Like, just a whole lot of other things I feel like maybe need establishing, because there's obviously magic in this world, but we haven't really, like, talked about said magic yet. Because, I mean, obviously we see Gil Thunder and the Thunder, obviously, but there's not really much of an explanation.
Twiggles.
Yes, that too. Anyway, but yeah, there's not really much of an explanation behind it, and I kind of want to learn more. Also, like, where did the seven deadly sins get their powers from? Like, because obviously Meliodas has, like, probably a beast mode. Deanne also probably has, like, something else going on with her as well. That's probably also associated with her mark. Like, I feel like there's just a lot that we don't know yet. That still really needs built out. And that's also going into the fact that it's a very, very long shonen series. So yeah. What would we call a meh to a soft yay? Like a eh? Is that the sound that we would make?
I guess? Like,
I don't know.
it's not an it's an you know?
I guess.
Okay, it sounded like somewhere in the meh to soft yay category kind of scoring area for this in world building. Why don't we move over to art and animation? I think I'm leading us off on this. I think I'm a yay on this. Everyone looked pretty distinct. Animation was pretty fluid overall. Colors were nice. It was nice and bright. Yeah, I don't think I have too many complaints. I mean, it didn't really like wow me in any particular place. At the same time, it was pretty good overall. So I think I'd give it a yay. I think I've heard people online or somewhere, maybe like they switched animation companies at a later season.
Yeah.
I've heard that it gets bad. But right now...
I can explain that
now,
perfectly.
Okay, well,
Ooh.
for now at least, it looks okay. It looks good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like the animation. I'd give it a yay for animation. That's about it. Like, for what I have to say is it looks nice. So
Yeah, I liked the animation too. I did like the colors. It really gave me a bright, fantastical feel. I liked all the character designs. Yeah, everything looked very appealing to me, so I would give it a yay for animation.
Okay, so I think for animation I'm a soft yay. Like, it looks really pretty. I will say that. It looks very nice for right now. Character designs are good for the most part. Elizabeth's outfit I'm a little bit questioning on, only because it doesn't really fit the setting, if that makes sense, because we're supposed to be like in sort of like a high fantasy kind of world, and yet she's wearing something that looks more like modern clothing that I'm just like, I don't really know if this fits here right now. And then everyone else's character designs are pretty okay. Like, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about it. So yeah, soft yay.
Yeah, as far as, this season, the art and animation, I dug it. It's, nice and colorful and pretty, and yeah, the characters all look distinct and they all look good. So I give it a yay, and I can explain the dip in quality. So they're on season 5 right now. The first 3 seasons and the first movie were animated by AYoN Pictures, which they've done a lot of work in the past, and probably their most famous recent show, or not one of their most recent shows, is of course Sword Art Online, and regardless of what you think about it, it is a very good looking show.
That makes sense.
But they switched seasons in season 4, and it's made by Studio Dean, which I'm sure you guys know made the original Fate Stay Night, among other shows like Italia and all kind of other stuff. But they have made good shows before, but usually their good shows is when there isn't necessarily meant to be a lot of action. Like, they made Konosuba. I don't know if you ever heard of that show.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's basically a comedy show, and it's and it's really well animated. But when they are tasked with making stuff that has a lot of action, they usually don't do an amazing job. Like there was the only reason why I know this is because in season 4 there was like a highly anticipated fight between Meliodas and a character we haven't been introduced yet, and like this is like the fight manga readers and like novel readers were looking forward to being animated, and it's like one of the most laughably bad. Like you could look it up. I can tell you it after we're done rolling. It's like one of the most laughably poorly animated fights in modern memory.
Oh dear!
So,
Good thing we're not judging it on that.
Yeah.
No, like we're not, and like I've seen a few clips of the fight. It's bad. Like it's like I'm not gonna say no effort went into it because obviously I'm not an animator, but like it's not Redline animation. I'll give you that. So
Okay, to be fair, when you're comparing something to Redline, that's a little unfair.
Yeah.
but
Redline is like friggin' amazing.
But yeah, so that's your brief history lesson on Seven Deadly Sins.
Okay. So what were you on this?
Yay. Sorry.
Okay. So, yeah, it seems like an overall yay for art and animation.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk sound and dubbing? Gab, I think you're taking us off on this one, right?
Yes, I think so. Well, I don't know. I think it was okay. Like, it's hard to remember exactly what everyone sounds like. Being I watched it like 2 days ago, it's like a little bit foggy, for me. Whereas like Bleach, I could remember more easily because I watched that yesterday. But I don't know. Like, I thought, it was fine overall for the most part. I didn't have any problems with the voices. I thought that it was a little funny to hear Bryce Papenbrook do another role. It was, I just like, I have such Danganronpa brain that I cannot like not hear him as like Makoto or like Nagito.
Does he look like his character in that?
What do you mean?
Does Meliodas, or like, wait, who was Papenbrook? Was that Meliodas?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does he look like his Danganronpa character?
No.
Okay.
No.
That would have been difficult.
He does
to
look
think
like
about that.
another character that he voices, though. And I'm gonna bring that up.
Chat Noir.
Yeah! It's the hair and the green eyes, and that is literally the Adrian Agreste voice.
Yeah.
It's literally it.
Yeah, it is. But it's like, it's hard for me to like be like to take it seriously, I think, because of that. But besides for that, like, it's fine. Like, I think it was a fitting voice for his character mostly. I don't know. I guess I'm a soft yay on it.
Yeah, I kind of feel similarly. I thought the dub was pretty good. I mean, I don't think I had any complaints about it, and it feels like everybody fit their character for the most part. So, I don't know, probably a yay overall.
I'm also gonna give this a yay. The score was pretty. The dubbing I thought was pretty good. All the lip flaps were matching the lines, and again, Bryce Papenbrook and his voice. I literally for 2 seconds thought I was watching Miraculous Ladybug because it was just, that is the voice that the Chat Noir character Adrian Agreste has in Ladybug. So I was just like, oh, I see now. And it was just so funny considering the fact that it's actually like a perfect voice for Meliodas as a character. So I didn't really mind it all that much. even considering the fact that, like, Adrian Agreste as a character, Bryce Papenbrook's voice, I know a lot of people don't really care for his voice in the Miraculous dub, but I actually think it's fine. It works very well. But that's not a show that we're talking about right now. Moving on. Elizabeth's voice was fine. I don't know who her voice actress was. I think the voice fits. It's a little high-pitched and kind of, like, I don't know how else to describe it other than, like, not squeaky, kind of breathy. I don't know. But, I mean, it was fine. I didn't hate it. Christina V as Hawk was a treasure, and I do really love it. It was so good. Which is honestly very interesting, because she's also in Miraculous Ladybug as Marinette, the main character. And it's different because I've heard her in, like, a couple of other ones, because she's also Homura Kemi in Madoka. So it was different to hear her voice in this sort of role, like, kind of, you know, doing something a bit different. And honestly, it worked very well. I liked it a lot. All the other characters are pretty good. I have no complaints. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a yay.
Boy, this tournament is really, like, its goal was this goal is trying to make me warm up to Bryce Papenbrook and make me apologize to him, because
Oh no, he's on to me.
no, I've made no mistake in the past that, at least from the shows that I've heard him in, I wasn't a big fan of him, partly because they're not three of my favorite, but they're three of my favorite franchises. He's the main character, and obviously he's Kirito in Sword Art, which I'm not a big fan of his voice, and he's Shiro in Fate Stay Night, which I'm not a fan of his performance in that. So, but I liked him as Ren. I just got done watching that show, at least the first season. I thought he did really well in that, and I liked him in this show. I thought he did the voice pretty well. I totally bought him. So maybe just don't be the generic protagonist. Maybe just be a little more eccentric, and you'll be good. Because I've heard his dub as Inosuke in Demon Slayer, and it's actually not that bad. I will say that. So Elizabeth is voiced by Erica Harlacher. She's one of my favorite English dub voice actresses. It's not my favorite role she's done, but overall I think she did pretty good. Figuring that Hawk was Christina V just blew me away, because I did not expect her to be able to do a voice like that. Like that surprised me, but I thought it was pretty good. And yeah, I liked the rest of the voice cast too, and I liked the background music. So I give it a high yay, because it did the impossible. It made me start to warm up to Bryce Papenbrook a little bit.
Wow, that's not an endorsement. I don't know what is. I think I'm an overall yay on this one as well. I think everybody worked for what they were doing. I think Meliodas had the right tone for his... I have to call them Saitama moments. It's like where something big is going on, and everyone's like being all serious, but you're just kind of like, whatever. It's like, what? Oh, did you want to fight me? I don't know. Yeah, I think that definitely worked there. Still, my favorite line was whoever was Sir Twiggo just putting on this vague Sean Connery accent, just kind of going, whoopsie, just killed a whole bunch of people by throwing them off a cliff. Put it in the report. Oh wait, what was his catchphrase? Conclusion. You die.
Yeah.
Like, you were fantastic. I almost wish he was the big bad. I feel like I'm going back into character, but yeah, I think this dub worked. Made me laugh where it needed to make me laugh. Kept everything going. Didn't hurt me in any way. So yeah, I think that's a yay for me. Was that everybody?
Yes.
Think so.
Gav, did you go yet?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, opening and ending. Who's starting us off? Are we back around to Yin?
Yin.
Yep.
I thought... Are we? Okay.
You started plot.
I think you're right.
Or is it?
Or maybe not.
Hold up, I'm losing my
Wait.
mind. What did I start with? Art and animation? Then was Gab, then was you.
Okay, so it is me. So we're on art. No, what are
Opening
we
and ending. We've talked about
opening
art
and
animation.
ending. Okay. I
It's
actually
late.
really like the ending of this one. I thought the ending almost sounded like an opening, and I really liked it. I mean, I think I liked it more than the opening, to be honest. The opening was like okay. It was kind of like a typical anime opening. It was pretty hype, but it didn't like stick out to me that much. Visuals were pretty nice, but once again, it was kind of average anime opening. But I did really like the ending, so I'd give it kind of a meh to a soft yay in terms of opening and ending.
I'm gonna go with. I'll formulate my response once I actually talk about the things. So, for the opening, I like the song. I could still remember it, which says something, because either you have me remembering the song or you don't. The visuals are really nice for the opening as well. And then, same thing for the ED. Like, yeah, it's not like a typical ED cool down kind of song, but sometimes I kind of like a little bit of a hype song after I'm done because it makes me still a bit excited to see the next one. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at on that. The visuals for that one were also pretty good as well. Like, I'm a yay.
Yeah, I definitely remembered both the ED and the opening for this show, and I liked them a lot. So I really don't have a lot to say about them. So I give it a pretty standard yay.
Yeah, I don't remember the opening as much. I know it didn't bug me, but I know I don't really remember it super well. Ending. I enjoyed the ending. And I don't know, it's one of those, like, I think it's from, like, Flow or something. One of those bands where, like, I've seen a bunch of their stuff. I know they did, like, Naruto opening and, like, some of the ones from Code Geass and a couple other things. And I don't think I've ever really not enjoyed when they've done an opening. Especially because, like, they usually couple it with some good visuals. And I think, like, yeah, this had 2 openings, which is interesting because Naruto last week had 2 endings, basically. So, but yeah, I for the probably the ending alone, I'd probably give it a yay.
To be honest, I couldn't remember how either the opening or the ending went. Besides for knowing that I enjoyed them while I was watching it, but I don't really remember how it goes. So I think I'd give it a soft yay just because I know that they were good, but I can't give it the full yay that other people might because I just can't remember it that well.
Go all the way around?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Chibi, why don't you take us into final thoughts on 7 Deadly Sins?
So honestly, this is a thing with this show. It's just the fact that, like, when I watched it the first time around, I wasn't really all that interested. The thing is like, going back and rewatching it a second time, I do see, like, a lot of its merits, and I see why it's very popular, and I probably would continue watching it. It's just the fact that I can only stomach so much of Meliodas being a perv that it really kind of just throws me off wanting to watch more episodes, because honestly that really is my only big issue with the show, is those instances. And yes, I know they're played for laughs, but again, they make me very uncomfortable. So yeah, would I watch this again? I'd have to, like, really, really try and stomach it, but it It probably would be like maybe. I don't know. I'd have to like really think it over before I actually like go back and continue watching it.
Um, this is kind of tough for me because, like, if this was just its first season, like it is the first season, but like if it was like a brand new show and this was, its only season, I would definitely, would definitely like this. This is like the type of show that I like. Sometimes I like deeper shows and sometimes I like, shows that are just kind of fun and adventurous. That being said, I know that later on the seasons get pretty mixed in quality, especially season
Yeah, but
4.
that doesn't
So
matter.
I know.
1 through 3.
I know.
Everybody gets a fair shot.
I know. Uh I guess based on these 3 episodes, I was definitely invested enough to where I would want to maybe see like the end of at least this arc or the first season. So yeah, I give it a yay. And I almost forgot to mention too with voice actors. Erica Mendez voices Diane, and I thought she did a good job in that too. So I wanted to give that out.
I guess I'm a yay. I guess I could watch a couple more episodes of this. It's got its problems, but at the same time, it's okay enough that I'd be like, I could watch a few more, I think. So I'm a softish yay, I guess.
Honestly, I'm kind of a meh, like, overall on it. Like, I don't know, like, it just wasn't that enticing of a show to me. Like, I thought, like, some parts of it were okay. Like, some of the characters I thought were, like, funny. But, I don't know, like, am I really interested in watching more of it? Like, I don't really know. Maybe, like, to see, like, the other deadly sin that is, like, in the opening with them, who's, like, a super popular, like, character that I recognize. But, like, after that, like, unless it gets, like, a whole lot better, I don't know if I'd watch any more of it, so.
Yeah, I'm kind of somewhere between a meh and a soft yay. I think there's enough to maybe get me to watch a few more episodes, but I don't feel, I don't know, super excited or super like I need to watch the next few episodes. But I think I would continue to give it a chance a little bit more. So yeah, it'd be somewhere around that area for me.
Is that everybody, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. It's looking like a meh-ish yeah. Whatever sound
Yeah.
that is. It's like that angry frog. Whatever that is. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk showdown. These two got to go off against each other. We gotta come up with like who's gonna move on to the next round. Bleach v 7 Deadly Sins. Envy, are you leading us off for a decision on plot?
I guess so. It's weird because on the one hand, Bleach I think did better with its character interactions and its overall tone, whereas Seven Deadly Sins was definitely better in world building and setting up for the future. So it's really tough for me. Like I was thinking really hard about this category in particular when it came down to what I was when I was deciding which one I liked better. I am probably going to give the very, very, very slight edge to Bleach just because I liked the main 2 characters, Ichigo and I am so
Rukia,
sorry. I am so sorry to Rukia
you'll get it,
fans.
or you won't. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to give the slight edge to Bleach because I liked their dynamic and I felt like it was their big strength was more of a strength than Seven Deadly Sins' bigger strength to me. So again, it's a very slight edge to me for Bleach.
Yeah, I'm a little torn because I agree with what you're saying about Bleach, but on the other hand, I think Seven Deadly Sins also had like a more clear plot of what they were trying to do, like right off the bat. Like there was a quest involved. So I'm actually really split here. I may need a little bit of time to think it over a little bit more. I think I'm gonna take a pass for now. Gav, why don't you do that and we'll circle back to me at the end.
I don't know. I think I liked the plot. Jeez, this is hard. Because the plot of, like, Seven Deadly Sins is like, let's go find the Seven Deadly Sins and stop this, like, war. Whereas Bleach was like, here, become a Soul Reaper and save people, like, take over my role as a Soul Reaper. So there's not like a whole lot going on in Bleach yet. What with plot, like, so I guess I'd give the edge actually to Seven Deadly Sins because at least it's, like, established more of, like, an end goal.
Yeah, I'm kind of along similar lines. I think I'd give it to Seven Deadly Sins, mostly because they do have the established journey. I think it's a little bit more exciting right off the bat. I think Bleach had the standard, okay, we're still kind of setting up sort of thing, but I think Seven Deadly Sins gets you right into it a little bit faster, so maybe just going by that, I would give the slightest of edges to Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah, I'm also thinking along those same lines where, yeah, Seven Deadly Sins, like, makes its plot very clear, and you're already sort of heading toward it from the get-go. Whereas Bleach, and again, a very long-running series that has, like, a lot of other plot threads that it needs to, like, get sort of established. And the thing is like that sort of kind of happens. Like you kind of need to like build it out a little bit more as you go. And again, we're sort of really just in setup right now. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Seven Deadly Sins because we actually have a destination where we're going. So
Yeah, so swinging back around again to me, I guess. I think you guys are right. It like by like a hair's breadth, I'd say probably Seven Deadly Sins. I think if Bleach had like established a more longer term goal, other than just you have to do this job as a temp, I would have definitely gone Bleach. But yeah, I think the larger goal helped out a little bit more. Just edged it out. So Seven Deadly Sins takes it for plot. Why don't we move on into characters? Am I leading this one off? I think I am.
yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm going to go Bleach on this one because I thought all the characters worked in Bleach, and I didn't think all the characters worked in Seven Deadly Sins. Like, you know, whether you have a problem with Meliodas or whether you don't have a problem with Meliodas, we can all agree that Elizabeth really was just a sexy lamp. And yeah, I didn't feel that way about any of the characters that were in Bleach at this point, so I'm gonna go Bleach.
Yeah, I just like the characters and the way they interact better in Bleach. I think they have more chemistry together in Bleach, and it's just I find them more enjoyable. So I'd give it to Bleach too.
I would also give it to Bleach. I think the characters did play off each other better, and it all felt very coherent. Even though we don't know that much about all the characters, I do feel like they're all going to be developed pretty well because they already set like a good amount of personality for each one. So I would give it to that over Seven Deadly Sins, where I did have some problems with some characters.
So for me, for characters, I will also give it to Bleach. Mostly just because, like, I don't know, like, for Bleach, the characters are a lot more, I want to say, like, they feel a lot more grounded, they feel a lot more cohesive, their interactions make a lot more sense, whereas watching Seven Deadly Sins, while some of it's funny, like, some of it doesn't really make sense, like, sometimes it feels like they're having the same conversations over and over again. Um, like Elizabeth's just kind of sort of always mentioning about trying to find the seven deadly sins so they can stop the holy knights. Like I feel like that was just brought up quite a bit, and granted, yeah, that it's like her main goal. Um, but yeah, it's just like there's not really a whole lot of variation there. Like Bleach definitely like has a little bit of character, whereas with Ichigo basically being like, yeah, I'm doing this in saving people because I want to save them, not because like I have to do a job or anything. And then Rukia is just like a little more, I would say, the straight lace, kind of by the book, which is fine. Uh, but yeah, like their interactions felt a lot more believable, and their characters felt a lot more believable rather than like caricatures that we saw in Seven Deadly Sins. So
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Meliodas minus, the perviness, and I liked Hawk, and I liked some of the background characters. But yeah, the thing that really impressed me with Bleach was the dynamic between Ichigo and Rukia. So,
Hey, you got it.
so yeah, I give it to Bleach.
That's definitely looking like a yay for Bleach in the character department. Uh, yeah. Why don't we head on into world building competition? Gav, you want to take us off?
Oh, geez, why does it have to be me?
Because you were next in line.
Sorry.
Really trying to avoid it.
Can I pass?
You can always pass, just be aware you may be the tiebreaker at the end.
Okay, I'm a pass.
All right. This one is kind of rough because I thought both of them had pretty good world building, but in different ways. I thought we definitely got a little bit more explained in Bleach and a little bit less explained in Seven Deadly Sins. But I also think the Seven Deadly Sins world is a little bit more colorful, a little bit more, and maybe outwardly interesting to me. There's just a little bit more of a world, whereas I think Bleach is a little bit more close to the human world. So I mean, that's still a world to build, but maybe not as much to discover. And there was a little bit of explanation dumping through Rukia, so I might give this one to Seven Deadly Sins.
So for the world building, I will say like it's definitely very different, again, as Ian said, because you're basically pitting high fantasy against urban fantasy, sort of, kinda. Mostly just because, like, the world of Seven Deadly Sins is obviously, like, a high fantasy world that has magic. And the world of Bleach has, like, a little bit, it's grounded in our reality, sort of, with, like, supernatural elements. And the thing with Seven Deadly Sins is it's more open. They still have like quite a bit to establish, like the magic system, if there really is a magic system, whether or not that actually ever gets explained or not, or we just accept it as as it is. And for Bleach, I felt like they actually did go in and explain more things and kind of like sort of established some of the rules for like soul reaping and hollows, and just kind of actually like really fleshing out like what kind of thing it is that we're dealing with here, rather than just kind of like sort of making it kind of a bit more open and not really explained, even though like we might just take it as gospel considering the setting. I'm gonna have to give it to Bleach on this one.
It's kind of tough for me because I'm going back to what I said for each show in the individual discussion, where Bleach, its world building was basically in its dialogue with the characters, as you don't really get much of the actual world in the world building. You just get like the introduction to what the soul reapers are, and how the souls and the different souls work, which is fine. And then with Seven Deadly Sins, the world building is, the actual world, as well as the conflicts going on between the knights and the Seven Deadly Sins, and, trying to find the knights and what did they represent. So I think in that sense, I'm going to give the edge to the Seven Deadly Sins.
See, I'm going to kind of go the opposite way with that. The stuff with the knights and the coup and everything else felt a little more like it delved into more plot territory for me, versus Bleach did take a little bit more time to establish the monsters like the hollows and stuff like that. And even though we didn't get to go into a lot of the powers and responsibilities of a soul reaper, we at least got some of it, and we learned basically nothing about the magic and stuff in Seven Deadly Sins. So I'm actually going to go Bleach for world building, kind of for like the same but opposite reason that I went with Seven Deadly Sins for plot. So,
ooh, tiebreaker.
Gav, ready to be the tiebreaker?
Oh wait,
No.
Aren't you glad you
the
passed?
tiebreaker?
Yeah.
It is.
Man.
Jeez. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Bleach.
Any particular reason?
Because honestly, like, I think the way they described like the hollows and stuff, and like the soul, the whole souls, and soul reaping and everything is just like more to me than the whole like there's a coup. That's all you get. That's all you get. So that's why I'm going with Bleach.
Okay. So, with that, Bleach takes the world building category, and we move right along into art and animation. Yin, I think you're taking us away on this one.
Okay, well, you guys know I wasn't fond of Bleach's animation, so I think my answer is obviously going to lean towards Seven Deadly Sins. I think it was just a lot more aesthetically pleasing to me. The characters all had very distinct and interesting designs that really showed a lot about their personalities, whereas I didn't really get much interesting for Bleach. I mean, the designs of the hollows were kind of cool, but everybody else just looked kind of standard, almost like they could just be in a slice of life show. So, and I didn't like the weird effects during the traumatic fight scenes, so I'm gonna give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah, so I will say that, granted, I'm gonna have to, like, think a little bit differently, because Bleach is a show from, like, early 2000s, whereas, like, Seven Deadly Sins...
6-ish, maybe?
Something like that. Whereas, or at least that's when it came over to the States. Whereas Seven Deadly Sins is a lot newer, and has, like, updated animation. So, the thing is just the fact that, like, I think for, like, the actual animation, Bleach is mostly fine. The eyes, though, the eyes are really throwing me here. Because it's like, it's a little disconcerting when I'm looking at a character's face and their eyes don't appear to be in the same place all the time. Like, I don't know. especially when the face is like disproportioned. Like, I understand it's an anime and the eyes are not meant to be proportionate to the actual size of their face, but I don't know. It's really off-putting, and I don't really enjoy that. So I'm probably gonna have to give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah, I mean, obviously ignoring like the 10-year difference in when the shows came out. Yeah, I think the world of Seven Deadly Sins and the art is just more pleasing to the eye. So yeah, I'll give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
I think I'm leaning in that direction too. I think, yeah. I don't want to say that, like, I mentioned a little bit about same face stuff that I was seeing just a touch in Bleach, and I'm definitely not seeing that nearly as much in, like, Seven Deadly Sins. I think it's a little more fluid, which, definitely comes with the fact that it's a little bit of a younger show than Bleach was. Um, but yeah, outside of that, the color palette was a little more appealing, and I'm in agreement with you. They didn't do that weird soft focus thing that you have to have when you have a giant snake and a huge sword facing off against each other. Sorry, I made that weird again. But yeah, I think Seven Deadly Sins for me.
Yeah, I'd have to say Seven Deadly Sins for the animation.
No elaboration on that?
No.
Okay. Well, it looks like it's going to the Seven Deadly Sins for art and animation. Running on over into sound and dubbing. Chibi, are you taking this one? I believe you are, right?
I think I am, I
Yeah.
guess. So, for sound and dubbing, I'm gonna have to give it to Seven Deadly Sins, mostly just because, like, the voices for a lot of the characters were just very fitting. Whereas, like, with Bleach, I had, like, there were actors with, like, very prolific careers in Bleach. Granted, like, I know it's been, like, a long time since, like, these episodes have aired, and, like, they've probably, like, gotten better over time with, like, the dubbing and stuff like that, but I don't know, I just wasn't dazzled with their performances in this. I think maybe because it's, like, there's a good bit of hype around this, like, I was kind of a little let down. Whereas with Seven Deadly Sins, it was just like, I have no expectations, but at the same time, I know Price Pappenbrook is in here, but I found his voice to be very fitting, and everyone else's as well, so, yeah.
I think the dubs for both shows to me were really good. I liked Johnny Young Bosch as Ichigo. I liked Michelle Ruff. But yeah, like what Chibi said, I think for the main cast for Seven Deadly Sins, the voices were fitting, and Christina V surprised the hell out of me with her performance as Hawk, and again, it's starting to make me warm up to Bryce Pappenbrook a little bit. So I think I'll give. Well, I think out of both shows, Rukia was probably my favorite voice out of both shows. I think Seven Deadly Sins' dub outweighs it just in the amount of quantity and quality. So yeah, I'll give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
I don't want to bring it down to one line. But both of them are good. I think both these dubs are good. I didn't have a whole lot to complain about.
I
At the
think I
same
know
time,
where this
I didn't
is
have
going.
a whole lot.
I do too.
There wasn't a whole lot to write home about in either of them either. We didn't mention Liam O'Brien was the snake guy in Bleach. But yeah, so to some degree it has to come down to, like, which one did I remember a little bit more. For some reason, maybe it's just my weird sensibilities, but I enjoy a bad Sean Connery impression saying funny lines. So, conclusion, Seven Deadly Sins. Sorry, Seven Deadly Sins. Whoopsie.
Yeah, I like the voice acting for both, but I mean, I don't really think it matters, because I think Seven Deadly Sins is winning this.
Things could matter.
I don't know. But I did have, like, the first time I heard Rukia's voice, I was kind of, like, a little thrown off when she was doing the whole, like, I'm a normal girl kind of, like, impression. And I was like, maybe not that voice.
I think it was supposed to be, like, unconvincing, though, wasn't it?
Maybe.
I think that's kind of the point.
Because she's, like, supposed to be, like, 300 years old or something.
Yeah, I have no fucking clue.
I mean, I think she said something, like, to Ichigo early on, like, I've lived, like, 10 of your lifetimes. He's 16. So she's at least 150.
He's 15.
I think she's like
Yeah, there you go.
1,000
Sorry,
years
15.
old? Something like that?
I
don't know.
heard 10 lifetimes, so I'm just multiplying by 10. Doesn't matter.
Either way, she's old. She's
She's
old.
maybe born in the 1800s.
I don't know, but honestly, like, I like the voice acting in both. And I can't really choose.
Okay.
Okay. I'm struggling to remember what I said about both of them, but I think I leaned more towards Seven Deadly Sins. Once again, like I've said, it doesn't really matter at this point, but I guess I'll just say Seven Deadly Sins.
Alrighty. So, yeah, it does go to the Seven Deadly Sins for sound and dubbing stuff, but, you know, what other sounds do we have to work with? Let's talk openings and endings. Envy, you're the opening and ending guy. Lead us off into this.
Well, I mean, I literally called Bleach's first opening in ED the most mid I've ever heard, so that's not a good compliment. So, and I enjoyed the Seven Deadly Sins, so I'll give the edge to that.
Yeah, so it kind of came down to me, like, so Bleach's ending and Seven Deadly Sins opening, I didn't super remember either, but I don't remember hating either, so that's kind of a wash for me. So it comes down to Bleach's opening versus Seven Deadly Sins ending. And I enjoyed Bleach's, but I think Seven Deadly Sins got me with I'm a sucker for a good guitar riff,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a really good. I enjoyed the one in the ending of Seven Deadly Sins, so I think I'm gonna lean that way. Seven Deadly Sins for me.
I just really, I don't know, like, because I really like Bleach's opening, but I thought I didn't really care for Bleach's ending, whereas, like, with Seven Deadly Sins, I thought the opening and endings were, like, pretty good for both, so I guess I'd have to go Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with Seven Deadly Sins just because I really liked the ending of that one. And although I was kind of meh about the opening, I don't really remember the opening or ending very well for Bleach. So because of the ending of Seven Deadly Sins, I'll give it to that one.
So for Bleach, I really only like remember fully like the ending. Like I remember more of the visuals for Bleach's opening, and I wasn't really crazy about it because it kind of felt meshed together and didn't make a lot of sense to me. Whereas for Seven Deadly Sins, both the OP and the ED were good. You technically got two OPs, but honestly, sometimes you just need that. And the visuals were good too. So yeah, gotta give it to Seven Deadly Sins.
So Seven Deadly Sins takes opening and ending. Moving on into final thoughts. I believe it's my turn to start. I'm having a lot of trouble here because on the one hand, I think for both shows, I could watch more, but I don't think I'm going to be particularly unhappy if I can't watch more either. That doesn't make it easy. Part Part of me wants to use my pass, but I shouldn't. I feel like I already did that today. I did do that today, didn't I?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we don't have to limit how many passes we're allowed to take during a day, but...
You got this.
I'm trying to, like, put it all together. Plot, characters, world building, the art, animation, sound dubbing, openings and endings, like, all of it.
Which one did you enjoy more?
See, I feel like I almost enjoyed them equally. I'm like going into my head, like trying to figure out, like I'm having to go into like minute detail, almost, to like try to pick one. I think again, and this is by a very close margin, maybe Seven Deadly Sins, and maybe it just might have had something to do that it felt like it was moving to its point a little bit faster. Outside of that, we've gone over characters and stuff and everything else, and like I think like Bleach has advantages, I think, where Seven Deadly Sins doesn't. Seven Deadly Sins has advantages where Bleach doesn't, but like, it just leans ever so slightly, I think, in Seven Deadly Sins' favor. So I'm gonna go that way.
So yeah, this is tough for me because I didn't really have problems like while watching either of them. But I think I'd rather watch, like, yeah, I don't know, because I would watch, like, 3 episodes more of, like, either of them.
Yeah.
I don't know, like... I honestly think that I would probably like Bleach more in the long run than Seven Deadly Sins, but it's hard to tell because I haven't seen much of either of them. But I think I'm gonna go with Bleach.
Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna sound really weird because I gave most of the categories to Seven Deadly Sins, and I think that's because I liked a lot of the technical stuff better, like the animation, the opening and ending, and the dubbing. But I actually do feel more invested in Bleach's characters. And characters really tip it for me a lot of the time. And I do kind of feel similarly to Gav, where it's like I feel like maybe eventually I'd get more invested in Bleach than I could in Seven Deadly Sins. I think it's just a taste thing for me. Like almost like my taste might lean more towards Bleach. Like taking away from all the technicalities that I think like certain qualities I think are better in Seven Deadly Sins, but I actually think just in terms of what I enjoy, which I think is basically what this category is, I think I'm weirdly going to give it to Bleach, even though that seems contradictory to a lot of what I said, but just in terms of enjoyment, probably I enjoyed Bleach slightly more.
So, I'm also gonna be a bit of a weird one here. The thing is the fact that, like, and again, as Ian has said, like, the characters are a little bit more, concrete in Bleach, whereas I feel like I'm watching, like, a little bit of caricature work placed in a fantasy world in Seven Deadly Sins. And honestly, if I were to, like, pick one of the two to, like, continue watching, honestly, I'd probably go with Bleach, even though a lot of my answers are also leaning Seven Deadly Sins. It's not the fact that Seven Deadly Sins isn't a show that I wouldn't go on to, like, keep watching. It's just the fact that some of the comedic elements are really obviously not my thing. And I feel like I just, like, would have a bit of a harder time watching it, whereas I feel Bleach is a bit more straightforward in what it's doing, and I can kind of know what to expect from it. So yeah, I guess more for comfort level, and also just because, like, there's also just a little bit more to, like, I feel get invested in. I'd probably go with Bleach.
Before I give my answer, so Seven Deadly Sins one with plot, Bleach one with characters, and then Seven Deadly Sins I think one for most of the other categories, if not all the remainder of the categories.
Bleach one for world building.
Oh, okay. But then, I think technically, I think Bleach already won this round, but I think technically Seven Deadly Sins is gonna move on because I think they won more of the technical categories. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
I think so.
But honestly, everything Yin said is 100% my opinion. Like, yeah, the technical stuff and the dubbing, Seven Deadly Sins won, but yeah, I was more invested in the characters of Bleach, and that surprisingly won me over. So yeah, everything that they said, I'm gonna give to Bleach.
Okay, so that does put us in an interesting position, because it seems like the final thoughts, everyone wants to continue Bleach for the most part over Seven Deadly Sins, but Seven Deadly Sins won the majority of the categories
so interesting.
here.
Yeah.
So, my conventional wisdom would say that Seven Deadly Sins goes on because it won the majority of categories.
Right.
Yeah.
I could see other people saying that the final thoughts is a little more important than some of the individual categories, though. Does anyone have any arguments for it?
I think technically it's fair to give it to the one that won the most categories, even though based on pure enjoyment, I do think I'd rather continue watching Bleach. I don't know, it's just like the way we've been doing it so far has been about the categories, so I think it would be a little bit weird to switch, but I don't care that much.
Yeah, I think we should stick with the rules, because I mean, if we start breaking the rules for one, we might start breaking them for the other, and then some people might say we are not being fair.
That is true.
Yeah.
And again, it's not like we hated Seven Deadly Sins. We all enjoyed it for the most part. So I think it's not like, we're going to be watching a sucky show in the future.
Right. Well, then, it looks like with a score of 4-3, Seven Deadly Sins takes down Bleach. The last of the big three did not make it.
Oh, man.
To the next round. Unfortunate. I really kind of wanted to see them go up against Naruto a little bit. But Seven Deadly Sins will take their place in that regard. Do we have anything like... This is usually the gush period to talk a little bit about...
I mean, with all of us not really knowing a whole lot about Bleach, there isn't really much we can gush about, I think, right here.
I suppose so. Anything... I'm trying to think of like anything else to talk about in regard to anything else before we go into what we're watching next week. Anyone have anything?
Not really.
No, I don't really got anything.
No. Okay, well, next week, we had it's actually kind of interesting. We had a big dude with a big sword this week versus a little blonde kid. And next week, weirdly enough, we have a big dude with a big sword versus a little blonde kid. Because next week, we will be watching Inuyasha and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Just don't tell Elric that you called him short.
He can't hear me. He's not real. But yeah, so we'll be watching, first 3 episodes of Inuyasha. First 3 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, going into the second to last round for the first string of fights. So we'll see how that goes, and yeah. How do you feel about how are we feeling so far about everything? We got One Piece going up against Jujutsu Kaisen. My Hero Academia versus Demon Slayer, Naruto versus Seven Deadly Sins, and then we'll see who the first of the final match of the quarterfinals will be next week.
I think Demon Slayer versus My Hero is going to be really hard.
That is going to be an interesting one. That's probably going to be the one that everyone looks forward to, and then, Studio Dean comes in and just destroys it. So, we'll see what happens then. We'll see what happens next week. Come join us next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!